Welcome to the College Knowledge Podcast, sponsored by the College Planning Network and Paradigm Financial Group. Whether you're searching for that right fit college, applying to college, or figuring out how you're going to afford it all, you're in the right place. You'll hear from deans, admissions counselors, student athletes, and scholars from esteemed universities and colleges around the country. We'll dig deep to uncover their insight and unique experiences. So whether you're a student gearing up for college or a parent with college-bound kids, sit back, relax, and listen. Like you, we have lots of questions. Our guests have the answers, and we're excited to share them with you. Let's get started. If you didn't know, we have a free crash course on college funding at elitecollegiateplanning.com. This will explain different types of loans, types of financial aid, savings vehicles, and much more.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of College Knowledge. Get my mic a little bit closer here. Today, we're going to be talking with Sean Rinda. Sean is the Chief Operating Officer and Vice President at Electrical Plus. Sean, thanks so much for being with us today.
Happy to be here.
Looking to, have some interesting conversations. This is one of our, in a long while, in studio
awesome.
in studio podcast. So I'm looking forward to it. It's exciting. We started this, I think, right before the pandemic started.
Okay.
We originally had called this Perspective with Paradigm, just to get different perspective on things. And it kind of massaged into this College Knowledge podcast, where it's just talking about, different careers, different paths that people might have to take. What are the steps that you have to do? And just understanding people's stories, how they got where they're at. And hopefully people can take it as a lesson learned, or, take away some golden nuggets from our conversation today. So excited to have you with us.
I'm excited to be here.
Typically, we want to know a little bit more about you, understand what your kind of backstory is, how you got to where you're at today, and kind of take it from there, as ultimately. So what's your story? How did you get to be where you're at today?
Still trying to figure that out.
Okay. All right. We hear that a lot, but
my story of how I ended up at Electrical Plus is a windy road, to say the least. My whole professional career has not been in the trades. It's, coming out and working, the odds and ends jobs, trying to find out what I was going to be when I grow up.
Yeah.
And then working through some marketing jobs, and worked in finance and banking for quite a while, almost 2 decades, from working in the branch world of banks to commercial lending and relationship management and business development. Did some outside sales for several years, traveled around the country, selling pretty random stuff, but it paid the bills. And then one of the banks I had worked for was acquired by another bank, which never happens in that industry. And when that happened, my position and title, I wasn't needed, as the new bank coming in had their people already in place, and found myself looking for a job. I was fortunate enough to have spent a lot of my career networking and meeting people. And I served on a board, and still continue to serve on a board, for a local chamber of commerce. And one of the other board members on that chamber had reached out and said, "Hey, my business is growing. You have a business and finance background. Could I pick your brain a little bit, ask you some questions?" And I said, right now I got nothing but time. happy to do so. And this was my position was eliminated 3 months before the shutdown for the pandemic, which is a really bad time to be looking for a job. So I had plenty of time on my hands. We met at an outdoor, socially distant venue and talked for like 3 hours. And I was just giving him my advice, as within his company, and what he should be maybe thinking about or looking to do. And he said, "Thanks for the time." I said, "No problem." And he calls me up like a week or two later and says, "After talking to you, I realized I should probably hire somebody." I said, you should, you really should. And he said, "Well, maybe I should hire you." And I said, "Jeremy," I said, "I'm not an electrician." And he said, "Great. I have a lot of those, but I don't have, somebody like you in the company." And we talked, and next thing you know, here I am.
Nice. So your response wasn't, "You should," you really should, when he offered you the job. It was, you should hire somebody, but he asked you and it wasn't the same response. I'm joking.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you want to hire me? But it was like my initial conversation with him was not me thinking this is an interview. This was me just trying to help another business person in the community and give advice. We all do that. Hopefully, I reach out to people I know all the time. Yeah, all the time.
Sure. Yeah.
So.
And it's a couple of things that we, through different episodes, different conversations, we've always talked about two big pieces that have been very big in people that are successful is mentors and networking. And here's just yet another story of just being able to talk to someone, if you're constantly networking, someone's not going to be afraid to come up to you. Right. And ask questions. We always talk about asking questions at the same time. This person needed advice because you guys are both networkers. You both know that you're open to conversations. It takes place. And then one thing leads to another. I mean, and what we talk about, college students, when they're interning, when they're in classes, when finding clubs, learn to network because it is something that is extremely valuable without a doubt.
It's crucial.
Yeah. Oh, it's in any aspect. It doesn't matter what you do. Right. I joke, you always hear that luck favors the prepared. And, you hear people, oh, they got this job because of who they know. I'm like, well, how do they get to know them? And is it that you just think, oh, yeah, they're so-and-so's friend and their dad has this company and, they were a shoo-in. They didn't really deserve that. You hear that stuff all the time.
All the time.
But you don't know if that person spends 10 hours a week, different networking groups, and they became friends with somebody because they were just as open and asking questions and they were curious about different things. And that's what led to the relationship. And then that's what, led to something. You don't know everything behind the scenes. So it may seem like luck, but no, there's some hard work and, a lot of hours that are put into those things.
And luck comes into it.
Sure.
But how much luck have you made on your own? How have you prepared to be open to those opportunities? How have you opened yourself up to say, I'm willing to talk to anybody.
Right. The other big takeaway that I have is I heard this college counselor a few months back, and he mentioned that high school students, kids growing up, they all feel like their parents went to college to be a chief operating officer at an electrical company. And that's you were that right out of college. And that's the way it was.
Yep.
They just don't realize the path that many people actually take. We talk to families all the time where, what did you go to school for? Oh, I went to school for, psychology. What do you do now? Oh, I'm an accountant. Okay, well, kids don't realize that. They think it was just this straight linear path. And the reality is that doesn't happen. It's just, it's rare. It's so rare.
It's so rare unless you're going to dental school,
right?
At Temple, and you're going to be a dentist. Chances are, if you can get through that school and those classes, you will become a dentist. But we just hired a marketing director 4 months ago, and she went to school for psychology.
Yeah,
she was a therapist. And now she's a marketing director.
Yeah.
And she had been previous to coming to us, but she would say what I thought I wanted to do. And then she went into that field and said, this isn't for me.
Right.
It happens a lot.
And that's one of the things that we try to help families understand is not that it's waste, eventually if you do find that job, but could you have gotten that job sooner? Right. Could you have found that major? Could you have made that decision earlier, right? Because so many kids change their mind in the middle of college, and then that leads to extra years there, and then extra payments. So, it's not linear. There's going to be things that change. There might be something you thought, right? There's tons of myths that exist, not just in the college, but just in the world in general, especially different industries. And you think, okay, I always joke and say somebody told me I would be an accountant. I should be a great accountant, right? Love numbers, love formulas. I should do it. And I'm sitting there going, my dad does taxes for people on the side after work.
Right.
I can tell he doesn't like doing it. I don't want to file people's taxes. So I just ignored all of it. And then we do an episode and we find out what being an accountant really is and all the behind it. And I'm going, oh, I would have loved that.
Yeah. Right.
I didn't listen to the people. So, it's just interesting that, I think your story and your path to where you're at now is not what you thought it would have been, years ago. And And I think a lot of students just have this belief that that's not how life is. Like they think it's, I'm going to graduate, I'm going to get this job, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And, now it's like, all right, well, when I want to make more money, I leave that place to go somewhere else. Well, it's the, one of our guests last week said it's the great resignation. It's the only way to get a promotion or get a raise is you leave and you go somewhere else. Now that seems to be the norm. And it's like, I'm not.
It is,
Mm-hmm.
In the industry we work in the trades, it's constant,
Mm-hmm.
in the, people are going, I'm going to leave here to go there to make $1 an hour more.
Mm-hmm.
And we have conversations, there's that formula for, pay wise,
Mm-hmm.
every dollar you multiply that by 2,080. That's what it translates per hour for a normal year. And we say, okay, so you're going to go here for $2,100.
Right.
What is that really going to do?
Yeah.
Well, it's $2,100. And we talk to people. I try to, especially in my role, is it's not just about the hard dollars that you make in a job, but what are those other benefits that are being offered with that job?
Yeah.
We pay 100% health insurance for our employees. That's a tremendous expense.
Yeah.
We pay for a life insurance program and 401k matching and all of these things. And when you put that all in front of somebody and say, so you make X plus Y,
Yep.
here's where you are for this $1 an hour. Are you actually getting that where you're going? And people don't think about what compensation truly is. It's just that salary or that hourly rate wage. And it's missed a lot. And especially on younger people, young adults, they don't understand the consequence of maybe not having some of these things until something happens.
Right.
And you go, whoops.
Yeah.
I just made an extra $2,000 a year, but I gave up really good health insurance and I just had to go to the emergency room, and I'm now set myself back way more than that.
Right. Way more than the $2,000 that you got for that 1 year.
Right. Yeah. And it's hard to explain. When I was 17, 18, 22, I had no concept of that. I had none.
Right.
I'm not going to pretend I was smarter than people are now. I wasn't. But you try to give examples and show what that really means.
And I mean, the proof right there is like, look at our student debt crisis right now. 17, 18-year-olds do not understand money. It's not taught the way it used to be taught. Parents, I know more parents that we don't like to talk to our children about money. Why? Like that's part of the issue when we don't realize how things truly work. You don't look at the big picture. Well, that's how you end up $100,000 plus in debt, for just an undergrad degree. So
right before we started this episode, I was talking to the gentleman behind the camera, just, about that exact same thing. So I have a 17-year-old daughter who's a senior in high school, will be going to college in the fall. And we just this week is the acceptance letter. Well, they're not even acceptance letters anymore. They're emails.
Everybody does them a little bit.
You used to get the letter.
I know somebody that got an acceptance confetti box.
Oh, we got one of those too.
Did you? Okay.
Yes.
So yes, it's everything's a little. It's always a little bit different.
It's amazing. For me, it was small envelope, big envelope.
Right. You knew before you even opened, right? That's how it was.
But we had this conversation with her because she's been accepted to some schools and they're all great schools and great opportunities for her. We're super proud as parents, but we sat her down and said, okay, we're actually going to talk about what this looks like. You have these schools lined up. This is what these schools are offering you money wise, which she knows because they say pretty much right away, you get this and this and this. And then here's what the family has to help with school. And then here's what your student loan debt's going to look like. I'm a big proponent of skin in the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And those ranges were dramatic, from if you want to go to this school, best case scenario, you come out with $70,000 in debt. You want to go to this school, you're going to come out with about $15,000 in debt. And, her eyes are kind of like, okay, what does that mean?
Right.
And we told her, we said, I don't expect you to understand what this means. You don't.
Right.
and I've worked in banking for a long time. I've talked money and numbers at home for years. But saying, okay, rough math. And if anybody's watching, do not use my rate and loan math for this. But if you have $70,000 in student loan debt, you're probably going to be paying between $700 and $800 a month to pay that off over 10 years. You get a really good rate, really favorable rate. But what does $800 a month actually mean? She said, what is that? Well, that's a car payment. That's insurance. That's gas, roughly for a month. So it's a car. Oh, okay.
It's one of the things I like to do for my families is do exactly that, lay it down. And this is the monthly payment, right? So if you go to this school, this is your monthly payment when you graduate. You go to this school, this is your monthly payment. Depending on how big of the difference is between some of the schools, I try to find something that is relatable. One piece I end up showing is, okay, well, you pay this money for 10 years or you pay this money. Okay, well, if you paid the same amount for the higher school, you're going to graduate. So let's use your example. Hey, it's $150 a month to $800. That's $650 a month. Well, if you threw $650 a month at that, $15,000, how fast are you now debt free? And then how fast does that $650 grow into potentially a down payment, right? And first time home buyers, you don't need as much of a down payment.
Right.
So then what does $650 buy you a month in a 30-year mortgage? So how soon could you own your own home? And what would the value of that home be versus 10 years from now you're out of debt? And this is really what this difference ends up being.
And 10 years from, the average student probably graduates at 22 years old. 10 years from there, you're 32. It's when a lot of people are wanting to start families.
Well, now it is.
And it's, there you go. So you're starting a family and you want to buy a home at the same time. You want to talk about stress?
Sure, absolutely.
About stress.
But it's one of those sad things where part of the reason, I believe, I don't know if there's any factual, but part of the reason that people are starting families later is because you've got $85,000 of debt and you're 27 years old and you don't want to get married. You don't want to marry somebody that has $75,000 in debt. Are you now, hey, if you did the thing, you went to the school that was, hey, I could pay off my debt. I went there because it was cheaper. And now you're going to marry somebody that went to a school that maybe didn't make the best choice. And now you're on the hook for potentially hey, I know people talk about it.
It's real life.
Yeah. So, real life. So now all of a sudden you delay getting married, you delay starting your own, family, you delay potentially money going in your retirement, which then means, okay, well, now I retire later. And then the sad part is if, it becomes this endless loop, because if all of that happens, now how are you going to try and save for your own kids if you don't do all this the right way? Because now you're 7 years behind on retirement contributions. So you might not be able to retire the way you want if you want to do that and save for college. So it can be this, it's one of the reasons I enjoy kind of showing that to people is this is real. And so many kids, they graduate and you see it on, interview after interview, they're saying, I have $100,000 of debt. Okay, well, how'd you get? I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what I was doing when I was 18. Nobody talked to me about it. Nobody advised me on how things might actually work out. And it just seems to be that conversation that everybody misses. It's such a, such a stress piece, but it's obviously a national crisis. The government forgiving debt is not the solution, right? It's not going to happen. If I was interested, I didn't quite finish the formula, but I was curious. I said, even with the guys, if you really look at it, nobody's been having interest on your government loans since March of 2023. If you added up all the interest that hasn't been accrued over those, you're probably at 10 grand or more already. So you already got you're right. You're good. You don't need even more of a handout, but it's, we can't, I've talked to some of my younger brothers, and they're like, oh, it's all right. The government's going to, and that's literally what they think. Somebody it'll work itself out.
So many people, have their hand out and it's all based on what they think or they're hearing. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I have these conversations often as well. I speak to some schools. I'll go in and talk to students in high schools and whatnot. And they're just, and it's not their fault. They're just not prepared for those conversations because they're not happening. Those conversations aren't happening. And it's terrifying to think about what you were just saying. Like, okay, I'm going to graduate at 22. And now I'm thinking about what my retirement's going to look like 43 years after that. You can't think that.
No, nobody's thinking that.
You wish people would, but they're not going to. So having people in their corner saying, I know you're not thinking about this, but I'm going to help think about this for you. And I'm going to help point you in the right direction. Just please trust me.
Yeah.
That I really am trying to do what I think is best for you. And it's what I think is best. I'm wrong every day of the week, man.
Of course. When I present this to kids, I go, look, I have no skin in the game. This is going to come out from nothing but a numbers perspective. Right. I'm not here to say how much you like the school. I'm here to tell you from a financial perspective, it's not a fit. Like, I don't have to sugarcoat it. Like I tell mom and dad, you bring in a student to see me to talk money. I'm laying it down, like how it really is. Yeah.
Guess what? We're going to do math. Right. And that's what it is. It's a mathematical formula, and it's pretty basic math.
But it's scary how, again, it's just something that some people can't compute. They
don't want to.
They don't. Yeah, I think maybe part of it's the head in the sand, but I think it's also there's more emotion that overlooks. Like, oh, that's okay. Like, hey, everybody does it. Well, that's
and there's so much. There's so much I find, especially excuse me, living in the area we do. There's so much pride in success. There's so much pride in, well, my student Johnny is going to this school because we went to there's so much, and some of these kids are so terrified to potentially let their parents down, or their aunts or uncles or whomever is in that family. Yeah. And I've heard it directly from students. I spoke to one not that long ago at a local high school, and she says, so she was asking me questions about my job, and we kind of got into previous jobs I had, and I've done and met some neat people over my career. I'm not a super young guy anymore. And she said, oh, that's neat. But my mom and dad told me I have to do this. And I said, well, why? Because that's what they told me. They already told me what I'm going to school for.
Right.
And I said, well, is that what you want to do? She's like, no. And I hope that she is super successful. This young woman was very bright, very, very bright. And I hope she finds a path that allows her to make herself happy. And then if trying to make other people happy helps her, I hope so. But, is there another avenue where she could make a tremendous impact in some area of expertise? And we see it a lot.
And that is one of those things we talk about, the noise that's out there and hearing different things, but sometimes the noise coming from mom and dad, and they want the flag outside. They want the sticker on the back of the car for the big name school. And that might not be the best fit for somebody, right? We always talk about the social fit, the academic fit, and the financial fit. That's how you win at the college game. Very basic, hey, got to make if you're missing one of those three, something's not going to work out the right way.
Yeah.
Dave always says that there is this kind of, hey, you're going to school. It's kind of what generations were before. You go to school, you become an engineer and a lawyer, a doctor, and this is what you're going to do. And that's just not, that's part of the reason that we have this podcast. You hear that, for example, I didn't know what an accountant actually did, right? I thought it was really more focused on taxes, but then you pull back the layers and you're like, wait, that's what you do? Right. Like those conversations get missed so often. And, we had a great episode earlier that was talking about finding your dream job, and understanding what exactly it is and how do you take your interests and your abilities and apply that to an audience and take that and say, okay, well, that's my dream job. I'm doing something that I'm passionate about. I have an ability that allows me to make money within that passion. And hey, I want to do it in this area, or for these people. Then you kind of back in the end in mind is that's what I want. Now, how do I get there? Well, I got to have this job first. I got to get this entry level position first. I probably have to do this internship. I need this major. I need to go to one of these schools, and you really have to think bigger picture than just, hey, you're going to be an attorney. Right. Like, and it's, well, is that really what you want to do? And then it's, again, you got to ask follow-up questions. Like you ask the question, well, why is that? And that's such a powerful question, because kids say, I want to do this. All right. How come? I don't really know. Well, hold on. Is that really something you want to do? So,
right.
And it's talking through this because there's one thing I do want to get to in a second here before I start getting into a little bit of the electrical plus stuff. But, my kids were in here one day. They were all from school, and we had them in the studio, and I asked each of them, like, what does college cost? My kids are 9, 8, and 5. Yeah. We got up from $100 to $2,000,
a day.
Yeah. We didn't tell them that. But my oldest too, I knew, he would probably grasp it a little bit more. I said, all right, what if I told you it was $10,000 a year? He's like, ooh, I don't know. That's a lot of money. Okay, but what if that helps you get your dream job? He's like, well, you know what? If it would be worth it, then I think so. I said, okay, well, wow, we're already having this discussion. You're 9. And I said, well, what if you don't have $10,000? He goes, well, what do you mean? I said, well, where's that money going to come from? He's like, well, wouldn't it come from mom and dad? And I said, yeah, I guess. But what if it doesn't? What if it can't? What do you do then? He goes, well, I don't know. What do people do? I said, well, they borrow it from someone. I said, but the way it works is like if somebody lends you $10,000, well, you take that money and then you graduate, but then you got to pay them back $20,000 because they lent you the 10, but so you could get that job, but now you have to pay them back 20. So how does that sound? He's like, that's a bad deal, bro. He's like, I'll figure out a different way to do it. I'm just laughing. I'm like, this is a 9-year-old that I know that conversation hasn't been had with 17, 18-year-olds that are getting ready to go to college. So it's just funny. But you mentioned a couple times, now that you're, talking to high school students. Mm-hmm. So catch me up. What is it that you're doing with that?
So I've been asked a couple times, and will be again next month. I think I'm speaking 5 times at local high schools in March. They've asked, can you specifically come in and talk about what it's like for some of these young adults to potentially pursue a career in the trades.
Nice.
And what that looks like, because for so long, especially when I was younger, mm-hmm. Going to college, it was, you go to college. Mm-hmm. That's how you show that you're successful.
Right.
That's what it takes to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And, these guys over here maybe aren't as successful. Mm-hmm. They look different. They're not dressed the same as you. They're, got their lunch pail going to work. And kind of laying out, hey, here's what it really looks like. Mm-hmm. I'm somebody who comes from a background of not being in the trades mm-hmm. at all. Well, I mean, that's not true. I did jobs when I was younger and in high school and college that, I did commercial painting. I've done property maintenance. Mm-hmm. I got my hands dirty because it was a job that paid well and I could do short time over the summer and things like that. They were always hiring.
Right. You got that extra $1 an hour from one job.
I really did. I'm joking. But when you're 19, right? Sure, makes a big difference because I'm under my parents' health insurance. Yep, all these other things are covered, and I just need to make sure my Jeep has gas.
Yeah, I did this. One summer I did the camp counselor, and I said, well, this is fun. Allowed me to play baseball at night. The hours weren't long. It was a fixed schedule, Monday to Friday. But after that, I was like, I want to make a little bit more.
Right.
What did I do? Hey, I was a laborer for contractors in the city, took the train down every morning. Hey, just, lifting drywall up steps, taking nails out of floors, whatever it could be.
And those jobs are, to me, so they teach discipline and mm-hmm. they teach what earning money really looks like. I used to get up at 4 a.m. and drive to Wilmington to go paint hallways in a high-rise condo. Mm-hmm. It was an awful job. Mm-hmm. It was a terrible, terrible job, but I showed up every day. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. But so to go in and working in Electrical Plus and having all these, skilled electricians within the company and getting to know them, and they have families and they're people folks, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Doing really hard work and doing it really well, and realizing how smart mm-hmm. these people working, it was carpenters, plumbers, we talk about math. They know what they're doing and they do it quickly in their head and they get it right. Because if they don't, they get hurt.
Right.
Or they could hurt somebody's home.
Yeah.
And they all make a fair wage. They none of them are, living on the streets. They have homes, they have families, they live in the same neighborhood I do.
Yeah.
And explaining to younger people that this is a real job.
Yeah.
And it gives you opportunities to maybe see and do things that you don't if you're stuck behind a desk.
Sure.
In an office.
Yeah.
So I think it's important. And some of these trade schools, especially in the area which we live, they're fantastic. Some of them will pay you to go there.
Yeah.
And there are companies lined up at graduation to offer them jobs. A line.
Yep. Yeah.
You just graduated from, you're with your electrician's license. I will give you a job today.
Yeah.
You're certified in HVAC. You can make a lot of money without student debt. And you can be done in 2 years instead of 4. Right. Or you can get an apprenticeship day one with the company and they will train you.
Yeah.
You're ahead of the curve, but it's not for everybody.
Correct.
It's absolutely not. Not everybody's meant to be a doctor. Not everybody would want my job. Not a financial advisor. But for the right people, knowing that door is there.
Yeah.
And it's not something you shouldn't look at.
So if you didn't know, we're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn at Elite Collegiate Planning. Make sure to share and tag us.
My world, obviously, I try to study. I see, kids that are, very bright, where they get into school, what schools are a good fit. I always get asked a loaded question, what do you think is the best school that's out there? And I said, I don't believe in the rankings. I said, I think that there is a best school for every individual student. And if you give me 5 students, there should be 5 best schools. But that never answers their question. So they goes, no, really, what, if you had to say that there's one school that tends to do things better than everyone else, it's Williamson Trade School.
Yeah. In media.
And they're like, wait, what? Where did that come from? I said, well, it's free. They graduate 75% of their class. It's the 3-year program, not a 2-year. It's run like a military academy. And by the way, there's 75% of kids have a 100% job placement. I think their average starting salary is over 120 grand out. They have multiple trades that you can learn. And I'm like, I start looking at when we interviewed the president a few years back. And then I start looking, look at the contractor that I hired. Oh, he went to Williamson. Oh, look at, I know that person runs a very successful landscaping business. Oh, he's a Williamson grad. Whoa. Okay. It's not just, the numbers that they tout, but then you start looking around the real world and you're going, okay, well, this guy learned his trade and turned it into a bit. He actually doesn't, all he does is go out, give the quotes, sells, right? And then he's got the crew because he's worked for 5 years. He became, very wealthy, learned business side of it. And now all of a sudden he's got his own company where he's not doing the grunt work, And so, even being my profession is trying to help people get into college and pay less for it and have a strategy that debt isn't, is minimized.
Sure.
I 100% agree that college is not for everybody, right? 100%. And the trades, I think, without a doubt, get such a stigma when the reality is there are probably more people in my personal life that are successful. And again, I guess what you rate as successful. But if you want to talk people that are financially stable, you want to talk about people that, have a retirement that's lined up. They have, different investments, whether it's properties, whether it's investment, stocks, bonds. When I look at, my immediate family and my friends, when I look at the people that have kind of risen to the top, if that's how you justify people that are successful, it's people that came from the trades. That's where they started. And it's not a knock saying that the trades are better than something else, but that's what in talking to these people and knowing them my whole life, that was what they were meant to do. Right. Sure. And they were passionate about it. It was everybody always it's that job that I had, right. When I was basically in college working just in the summers. And I realized, I was like, look, money's good. This is not what I want to do. Right. But again, it helps me pay for college while I'm doing it. But I knew I didn't want to do that as a career. It wasn't my interest. Now, again, there probably would have been certain things that if I got opened up to it, if I didn't have the blinders on the way that I probably did when I was 18, 19 years old, maybe it would have been. I enjoy working with my hands. I enjoy being able to fix things around the house. My wife is blown away that she's like, how did you learn to do that? I said, well, my dad, his father taught him. My dad taught me. And I'm like, she was blown away that it happens. Like, you mean you don't have to, hire somebody to come and patch drywall in the hall? No, I can do that. It's
funny. It's true. Like, when I was a painter, I'm very good at painting, and because it was my job, and you have to be fast, and I hate it. I hate it. I hate it with a passion. It's one of my least favorite things to do. When we've painted our house or painted a room, I say to my wife, like, I don't want to do it. And she loves to paint. So she will paint in our house because I despise it.
Yeah.
And I'm good at it.
Right.
I just don't want to do it.
It's funny, like that we talked about, like that, like you have an ability there, but the interest is not, like, and that's where and that's, again, sometimes when parents come in and say, oh, well, you're really good. My son's really good at arguing. They're great at that. They should be an attorney. Well, okay, they might have the ability, but do they actually have that interest? Do they have that passion? Does it actually something they want to do? Or are you just assuming, and are you now pushing them that direction, adding extra stress? Hey, this isn't what I want to do. Now I'm going to let my parents down because they think this is what I should be doing,
Right. And because you're good at arguing would make you potentially a good trial lawyer.
Yeah.
Most attorneys aren't in the courtroom. Yeah. Are you a very good writer?
Right.
Are you very good at research? What people think of what each job really is unique, and it's unique in every company.
Yeah. So kind of off topic, I want to come back to some of that, but Electrical Plus, been there now for almost 3 years. Like
just 2.5, 3 years. Yeah.
So what is it that you guys, what are you typically doing right now? What are the jobs that you got what's your role? What does the company typically do? Just, kind of the background on the company.
So the company's been around since 2006. We're residential and commercial electricians. So, our guys will be doing anything from, somebody has an outlet in their wall that's not working right, to I'm building a new custom home and I need somebody to run the wires, or I'm doing a renovation, or I want to put recessed lighting in my home or office. So we do some commercial work, on the smaller scale, not, Target's going to build a new warehouse in the area. That's not us.
Got it. Okay.
There are other companies for that. My role within the company is, I tell people I'm in charge of everything that doesn't have a spark.
Okay.
I'm not an electrician. So I manage, anything that involves legal, finance, HR, marketing, risk assessment, insurances, things like that. So just we're a small company. So they always joke that people say, what hat are you wearing today?
Yeah.
I'm wearing my legal hat. I'm wearing my HR hat. I'm wearing a marketing hat. But we just hired a marketing director. So I'm really excited about that because she'll do a better job with marketing than I was. So, I kind of have my hands in everything, and we have, I said, a marketing director, we have operations manager, we have assistant operations manager, we have shop manager, office manager, we have, the back office administration. And then we have a group of electricians and apprentices or helpers that are out there doing the hard work. And I always say, and then there's the owner, of course, who started the company, Jeremy. But we just had a meeting earlier this week, and I laid out for our management team what the organizational chart is. Here's the owner, here's me, here's the people that work under me and whatnot. And then at the bottom of the traditional org chart, it's our mechanics, our electricians, and our helpers. And then I flipped to the next slide and had those guys at top, and that all of us work for them.
Right.
So my job 100% is to try to take care and make the guys out there doing the work to make their lives better, easier, faster, safer.
Yeah.
Because what it really comes down to if they're not out doing the jobs and making the money, I don't get paid.
Right.
I'm not creating, enough revenue for the company. I'm managing that revenue and trying to cost cut and move things around, but they drive the company.
Yeah.
A lot of companies don't get that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making these big decisions and everybody works for me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, everybody that works for you, if they don't do their jobs, you don't have a job.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, that's kind of the synopsis of Electrical Plus. Jeremy, the owner, is a Navy veteran, was a mechanic on a ship in the Navy, so it's on my sleeve. We're a veteran-owned business and started the company with just him in a truck and has built just a really solid organization that has a tremendous reputation.
That's great. When you first came in, we talk about the different myths that exist for the trade. You're talking to high school students about it. Was there anything that jumped out to you when you first came in that you were shocked to see? And just what were some of the big things that you kind of you thought it was one thing and then you realized, oh, this isn't what this is at all? Yeah.
So I have, over, my professional life, I've developed experiences and I've dealt with a lot, and I've dealt with a lot of situations. I've managed over my career, hundreds and hundreds of people. And then I come in, my first day, and I'm in the shop. We have a shop where all the vans are parked in inventory, and then we have an office, which is where I work. But I'm in the shop, and you got all these guys walking around, doing things, not necessarily talking how I'm used to hearing people talk in a corporate environment. And I was like, well, okay, I got to get used to this. It was really interesting, and I actually enjoy so much, is kind of the cutting through the nonsense. If one of these guys has something that he thinks or feels like I should know, they will flat out just tell me in a very direct manner. And I so appreciate that. I really do, because it's not, well, let's have a committee meeting to decide how we're going to approach this. And then we'll have another meeting. And then, by the time it gets so watered down, where if a guy just comes up and says, hey, Sean, I got a problem and I'm going to tell you like it is. I'm like, yes.
Right.
Cause now I really know what the problem is, and I can work to resolve that. Or I can also tell them no. And that's the end of it.
Yeah.
So the frankness of discussion is great.
Interesting.
I have such an appreciation for the work they do. If we happen to be shorthanded, I will jump in my truck and I will go to a job site and I will be a helper.
Right.
I will do whatever I can. I will carry ladders, move wire, empty trash. I'll do whatever I can that gives them the most help that I'm capable of doing. Yeah. I tell people, if you see me in your house, you don't want to see me doing the electrical work.
Right.
Because I'm not a licensed electrician.
Yeah.
But it's been really nice to be in that kind of atmosphere where everybody is part of a team, and Electrical Plus specifically is so team oriented, so family oriented. We call everybody family. We say we all own the company, so to speak, and everybody has bought in.
Nice.
There's really neat culture where I've worked in some, multi-billion-dollar organizations, and people are, some people are really bought in, but the majority haven't. And it's pretty common. It's hard to get 10,000 people in line with your mission. I mean, there's entire departments created to try to make that happen.
Right.
I've worked in those departments. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. Then kind of coming back again, speaking with high schoolers, I don't know, do you talk to parents too, or is it mainly just the students? Mainly the students. Okay. So I'll go in during like a lunch session, and kids will sign up for, part of a career day or type thing, but it's not parents. I've talked to plenty of parents outside of work, just in my daily life. Right. But I enjoy talking to the students. Nice. It is completely raw. And they don't have the
fear of like, can I ask this question?
Right. Yeah.
You know, they will say whatever because chances are they'll never see me again.
Right. And
some of them, I hope I do. I hope they show up at my door and are looking for a job.
Nice. Yeah. And I mean, it's one of those things we offer counseling sessions. And I said, the parents, sometimes it's worth just having someone other than mom or dad, someone that's not necessarily associated with the school that they're at to talk to, because like you said, they might have a conversation that they know they probably are never going to see this person again, but the truth will come out. And it may be things that have not been said before. And I always use this story. It was a couple of years ago. Mom and dad came back. They were so happy because it was the exact opposite reason. They both went to Penn State. Every aunt and uncle went to Penn State. Mm-hmm. Grandparents went to Penn State. They say, yeah, we're applying to a couple of schools, but this is it. This is it. And the student, when I sat down with the parents, I said, okay, change of plans. We're extremely happy. I said, oh, well, what is it? He said, well, apparently the first thing out of our son's mouth to the counselor was, I'll go anywhere but Penn State. I don't want to go there, but I feel like if I tell my parents, they're gonna disown me. Like, it was literally his words. Yeah. And then the counselor said, okay, well then we need to have a conversation with your parents. And the parents were so happy that he expressed it. Like, well, we don't want you to go somewhere you're not going to be happy. Like, okay, thank God you told us now and not you're miserable. Like, nobody wants that for their child, like, to be stressed out.
And you hope that the child or the children can have those conversations with their parents, mm-hmm. and you hope the parents are willing. And to most kids, I will say, your parents do want to know, mm-hmm. like what, the old guys in the room say, if I knew then what mm-hmm. I know now, yep. It's so true. And being a parent, like, all you want is for your child to be happy, mm-hmm. successful, with whatever success means, because it is different to everybody. Yep. But happy and comfortable. And if, I want you to do this because I think it's best. And you say, no, I don't want to do that. Thank you for telling me. Right. Thank you for telling me. We're going to go on this big, crazy vacation. Well, I hate the beach. Yeah. Oh, right. Well, I'm glad I didn't just spend a fortune on going to the beach. Those kind of conversations mm-hmm. are so important.
Yeah. And I mean, God, you have an easy one, which even just that, like, I don't think college is right for me. Well, thanks for telling me now. Right. And I didn't just spend $100,000 to $300,000 on your education that you didn't want, or potentially didn't finish. Right. Oh, that's the worst thing you can do is start and not finish. Yeah. Right.
So why get to that point? And the other thing, just to kind of go back just a minute on the trades and, working in the trades, I work in the trades. Mm-hmm. I'm not an electrician. Right. There's so many opportunities at these companies. So even if you're going to go, I'm going for my 4-year mm-hmm. degree and I want to, do project management or business management or marketing or IT design. When you come out, don't discount mm-hmm. these companies in the trades because you think, oh, well, God, I'm going to go work for this plumbing HVAC company. Mm-hmm. That plumbing HVAC company is an awesome place to work. Yeah. And I wish I found that out 25 years ago. Mm-hmm. I'm getting all of the same benefits mm-hmm. that I received when I was working for one of the largest banks in the world. Yeah. But I'm not wearing a suit and tie. Yeah. I'm wearing jeans, boots, and a sweatshirt. I have fun joking around with the people every day. I have meaningful conversations in a small company where we can create impact immediately. We can pivot and change. Hey, this isn't working. We should change. And we're able to do it without going through 57 steps. Mm-hmm. So those opportunities are there within the trade industry. Yeah. And it's important that people think about that, because there's these companies out there just dying to hire people, mm-hmm. to hire people. And especially in the skilled trades portion, the average age is like 50 some years old. They're retiring way faster than we're producing. And before you know it, those are going to be some of the highest paying jobs out there, because the demand is going to be so high because the supply is so low.
Sure. Yeah. So when you talk to students, if somebody says, hey, I think that this, through this conversation, or maybe it was something they thought before, does pique their interest, and it's something that they want to look into more. What advice do you give? Like, what's kind of the next step that you would tell somebody that maybe they're listening to this today and saying, "Oh, I thought college was the way to go." Maybe what is it? What advice do you give to those kids?
Yeah, so if they're thinking like, maybe I want to go in the trades, they're so varied.
Mm-hmm.
The trades are so varied, from somebody who's framing a house to somebody who's doing the plumbing to somebody who's installing geothermal, radiant heat flooring to somebody who's, installing, electrical system.
Mm-hmm.
So, my first piece of advice would be like, do any of those things interest? Is there one of those that kind of piques your interest a little bit more?
Yeah.
Like, I really like building things.
Mm-hmm.
And then find a local company. Chances are there is a truck working down the street from you with a guy, that would be happy to give you a business card to the office and say, "Hey, I'm a student. Would anybody have 15 minutes, a half hour for me to come in?"
Mm-hmm.
That will almost always be met with, "I would love to talk to you."
Yeah.
We do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We have students that are a friend of a friend.
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, I'm thinking of doing this. Can I come in?" And the owner of the company, myself, we will make time to talk to somebody and say, "This is what it looks like. Hey, why don't you come in at 7:00 in the morning and see the shop when everybody's showing up to work, see what it looks like."
Mm-hmm.
Ask to job shadow.
Yeah.
For 3 hours.
Right.
Like, do you mind can I get on a job site? And don't be discouraged when they say no about the job site, because depending on what's going on, there's insurance and liability.
Sure.
There's some things it's just not safe.
Yeah.
But, having that conversation, they're like, "Oh, these guys work with trades are all just animals."
Mm-hmm.
It's not the case.
Right.
It's a bunch of really good, very hardworking people that would love to teach somebody else how to do what they do.
Right. And I love that idea, because again, it goes back to the networking idea, and guess what? If this is something, if you go in job shadow, if you show somebody, I can tell you right now, if somebody came to me and said, can I just pick your brain, and can I come in and kind of see what it is that you do, how what you guys actually do for people, and how you plan the right way for college? And if all of a sudden that person comes back to me 3 years from now and is like, "Hey, I'm looking for a job. I loved what you guys had." Mm-hmm. Guess what? Chances are I'm going to do everything I can to hire that person, because I already saw the effort they would put in.
You've already shown initiative.
Like there's some that can go a long way.
It can go a really long way. And if you think about it, especially with networking and talk to people, if you and want to know something and you ask somebody about what they do, people love to talk about themselves. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's human nature.
Yep.
People will talk about what they know. They like to, because they feel like they're giving valuable input and they feel better.
Mm-hmm.
So saying, "Hey, Jim, you're a carpenter. What do you like about being a carpenter?" You will hear all of these things. They will keep going. What type of tools do you use? How many tools do you have? What is it? How did you get into this? They will tell you.
Yeah. And I think if you are a student, and it doesn't matter if it's the trades or if this is a step that you're going to take, which I highly encourage, you need to know what the job entails. And, if we're talking about finding a dream job, whether it's the trades or something else, be outgoing, but asking questions is a huge benefit at any stage of life, especially this early when you're trying to figure things out. But be prepared. Right. And and I think that the one question a lot of people are afraid to ask, because this even goes into when you're looking for colleges, it's the same thing. You want to talk to students that are there or went there, and the one thing that I think a lot of people shy away from, like you talked about the carpenter. Well, why did you do this? What got you into it? What were you passionate about? Mm-hmm. But then what are the downsides? What don't you like? And I think that the negative side is what people are afraid to ask. But guess what? Just how people like talking about themselves, I think it's even easier to get what they don't like about something.
Especially for some people.
Right. And yes. And that's one of the things I tell parents, like, hey, when you visit a college, don't ask the student for right off the bat, like, well, what did you like about the campus? Like, what didn't you like about the school? Because they will go. Right. And I can't tell you how often I hear, oh, yeah, it was really nice. I liked it. You know, like, well, why? I don't know. Like, I don't, it was nice. Okay. What didn't you like about it? You changed that conversation. Well, it was, you know, too close to home. You know, the campus wasn't big enough. Like, they'll tell you the reasons that there's not, because again, if there's something that, you know, somebody says, hey, I want to be a carpenter. I said, well, here's what I don't like about this job.
Right.
Well, if that's something that's going to bother you, maybe that's not for you. But if you're listening to somebody saying, well, wait, that's the only downside, that doesn't bother me at all. Well, now you might be pushed more to find that thing that could be a good fit. So don't be afraid to ask, you know, the negative type questions when you do that.
And
I
know
think
yourself.
that goes a really, yes,
and,
absolutely.
And know
you
yourself and be honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can't get up before 10 o'clock in the morning. Guess what? You're not working in the trades.
Right.
You know, I can only, you know, work well really late at night.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's honestly something, if you know about yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you should tell people, because what you think you want to do and
Mm-hmm.
what actually meets your lifestyle goals could be very, very different.
Sure.
And when you ask these questions to people, it's so important to actually listen. Don't
Mm-hmm.
be trying to come up with your next question.
Right.
Please listen to what they're saying, because somebody's taking time to try to help you,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's talking to a student on a campus about their school, talking to an administrator at that school, talking to somebody about getting a job when you get out of school, and walking into an interview, you know, saying, I'm the hot stuff.
Right.
I just graduated this college or university. I know I'm awesome.
Yeah.
Guess what? You're not.
Right.
You know, and having realistic
Mm-hmm.
expectations and having people help set realistic
Mm-hmm.
expectations is critical.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to end up somewhere and be disappointed right off the bat because you thought it was going to be this. But if you ask the right questions, you know what
Mm-hmm.
where you're starting at. And it's just important. This is where you're starting.
Yep.
Where I started and where I'm at today are really very different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also having the idea of like that end in mind, like if you do know what you want to do, I think it's extremely important to talk to somebody and say, well, how did you get here? Where did you start?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because then you kind of have that game plan. You have that pathway of understanding, okay, well, in order to get to this position, this is what I got to do. And you kind of reverse engineer it and you work your way backwards to eventually where you're at now. And now you have, okay, step 1 is this. Step 2 is this. Step 3 is that this is how I get to that position. But I also think, you know, when you said like the job interview, look, the reality is I know, like I used to run a retail shop, retail sporting goods store, and I hired a lot of people, and you could tell when people they just wanted a job, or, hey, yeah, I'm trying to open my own retail store. I need experience. You know, I'm looking for this. This is something I'm passionate about. Like I'm hiring that person every day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
You go for a job interview out of college and somebody says, all right, well, why are you here? Like what brought you in? Well, I talked with Sean 4 years ago. I loved everything he did. I had a great conversation about the trades. You know, it wasn't exactly for me, but I love the environment that he spoke about. I wanted to get involved. It seems like that's what your company has. So I went to school. I got this degree so that I can you're going to knock it out of the park just by showing the passion you had and what the steps, the plan that you created and then followed through. It's some really valuable pieces.
Yeah,
you know?
you just became the last interview I have because you're hired.
Right.
That's it. Those are the people you want, people that have
Mm-hmm.
a plan
Mm-hmm.
and are honest about it. Jeremy, the owner of Electric Plus, he tells people all the time, he's, you know, if you guys ever want to have your own business,
Mm-hmm.
please come talk to me.
Yeah.
I will tell you what I did wrong.
Right.
I will help you get to where you need so that you can leave here
Yeah.
and go become my competitor,
Right.
in essence. Because there's enough business to go around
Sure.
for pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
If you're doing things the right way. But we pay for our electricians to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
If they say, I want to go get these certifications, we 100% will pay for it. I want to go get my master electrician's license. Cool. What do we need to do to help you get there?
Yeah.
Because once you have that, you can go start your own company because you have a license. But all that time, all we're doing is making that person better at their job while they're still working for us. It makes them more efficient. It's a great value for the company, and they're committed. You find somebody that's committed and is bought in, you can't pay enough for that.
Right. And I think some people hear that and go, that's an idiotic move to pay somebody to potentially leave your company. I go, well, look, you never know. But at the same time, I hear that and I go, all right, what if somebody leaves, they start their own company, but they're smaller and they have somebody that comes to them saying, hey, I would like to work for you. And you go, well, I don't have that position open right now. Well, guess what? He's probably going to send that person, right? I can't hire you, but where I just came from, they're fantastic. They're the reason where I'm at today. Why don't you go talk to them? Like,
or, like this job's bigger than my little company can handle.
Correct.
This company's made yes.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that if you get to that point, you are even going to leave. You might love it.
Right.
Running a company sometimes isn't fun.
Right. And again, it might not be what everybody actually wants to do.
Your day doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Our guys clock in at 7, they clock out usually around 4. The owner never stops.
Yeah. There's no punch in, punch out.
No, I work 10 to 14 hours a day.
Right.
So all that other stuff, which is why people need to ask that question. Like,
yes. Yeah.
Do you actually want to deal with other than the work you like doing? Or, hey, so you now are this much better at the job. What other position within the company? Like if you want to, we talk about all the time, like guys will say, I'm trying to get to the point where I can take off my tool belt.
Yeah.
As you get older, it's hard work. Yeah. So what does that look like? Do you want to just do estimates? Do you want to do project management? There's all of these other opportunities, but you have to be kind of the best of what you do in order to be able to do those, those things.
Yeah. So as we wrap up, I love this conversation.
It was fun.
I had a blast, but any last pieces that you were hoping that maybe we discussed or something I didn't let you get out because I was rambling too much? Anything that before we shut it down today?
No, this was fun. If I offered one piece of advice that maybe helped somebody steer one way, fantastic. Great. If not, delete this whole show.
No, it definitely should not be deleted. It should definitely be a listen. Because again, I think a lot of the lessons that you brought today and through our conversation, this can be applied to every job. It doesn't just have to be the trades. The idea of shadowing and asking questions and why, and mom and dad don't try to fit the square peg into the round hole.
And that's maybe be the one thing that my advice to everybody, like I'm the Dalai Lama. My advice to everybody is have conversations.
Yes.
People, especially the younger generation, I don't mean this as an insult, but they're not good at it. They're not good at having conversations and having true, honest conversations and being willing to ask the hard questions is so important. And being able to take the hard answers is so important because usually it is coming from a good place, and pay attention to it because it will help you make the better decisions. But please have conversations.
Absolutely. And I'll just add to that, ask questions in those conversations.
Right. Absolutely.
And, it's asking people questions, networking, having conversations is such a valuable tool. I think you're right. And I don't want to say, not all younger kids, it's their fault, right? There's a multitude, but we just came from a pandemic.
This is the conversation now.
Yeah.
And everybody's so good at texting and all that. And it has sped things up so much, and which is great. I mean, I don't go anywhere with that, but conversation, there's so little emotion in electronic pieces.
Yeah. And I know, and look, we went through a pandemic where you were forced onto not having conversations for a period of time. I hated the
Teams and Blue Jeans and all the, I talked to so many people on this little box for 2 years.
Still, you still do. But I always joked back then, they said, oh, we need the social distance. I said, well, can we change that? One of our guests said, we're going to change that to physical distance. I said, oh my God, I love that so much more.
That's brilliant.
Right? Like, no, I don't want to be socially distant from people, but we went through an entire year where we were being told we need to be socially distant from one another. I'm like, no, that's awful. I get it. You got to be physically distant.
That is so true. Yeah, that is they should have used, whoever said that, they were on the right path.
If memory serves me right, it was, it may have been the Dean of Pitt
the Dean of Pitt is one of my favorite people right now.
Yeah, he had and his going back to that, which I think you even talked about today with talking with people, having conversations. We've tried to, since that interview, it was our first episode, and he talked about lift while you climb and the mentorship aspect. That hey, as you're climbing, lift the people behind you, because when you were climbing, someone was helping lift you up. And you hear it with Electrical Plus, you guys are obviously proponent of that. So it's obviously there's just so many good things that can be taken away from like different episodes that we got. I always try to say like, my God, I remember this, I remember that. How it's amazing how networking, mentorship, it's such the backbone. Conversations, asking questions seems to be the theme of so many of our episodes. There's a reason it's a common theme. It's because it's what works.
And especially for the younger generation, it's, you are the future. You're going to be who's taking care of me, when I'm, not able to do what I can do today. But as you're talking to these people that are hiring, the conversations are what my generation is looking for.
Yeah.
And not like, you do what I say.
Right.
But there is that give and take of this is what we're used to. And you have to be flexible.
Sure. Yeah. Sean, thank you so much for coming in today. This was great.
Yeah, it's painless.
And guys, thanks for listening. And we'll see you next week for another episode of College Knowledge.
We can send your student to the school of their dreams and send you to your dream retirement. Visit us at elitecollegiateplanning.com to get started. Thanks for listening to the College Knowledge Podcast with your hosts, Dave Kozak and Joe Kearns. We hope you enjoyed this week's exploration of higher education, sponsored by the College Planning Network and Paradigm Financial Group. That's all for this episode. See you next time.